Many of you have shared that the A Gentle Feast videos and discussions that we've had here on YouTube or even on other social media platforms have influenced your decision to use A Gentle Feast in your own home. Due to that, I feel obligated in some way to share with you some bittersweet but also exciting news. We are switching curriculums. Okay, stay tuned and I'll tell you more.
Just do your thing. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be
Hi, I am Sarah Ruth. I'm the creator and the one who shares here at Kindle Togetherness, where we often make videos and content around the themes of faith-filled homemaking, faith-filled learning, and faith-filled adventures. Today's video is going to be about learning, and many of those of you who come back to our channel over and over again, talk about curriculum choices, homeschooling, how we influence our children, and all the things that have to do with teaching our kids in our home. Well, today I'm going to be talking about why we're switching curriculums from A Gentle Feast to the Alveary. Before we do that, if you would go ahead and do me a favor, if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe now so you can know when I put out new content. And please take a moment to like this video and leave any comments or questions you have as I go along. I'm happy to come back and answer them later. All right, so this video, it's been a few weeks coming. I spent probably 4 months trying to make a decision about this because, to be honest with you, as much as I love adventures, I also like consistency and I like what I know. I'm a creature of habit. And A Gentle Feast is what I've known for the past 5 years. When I began formal instruction with my oldest son, he was 6, and A Gentle Feast is what we started with. And it was such a great fit. It is based on Charlotte Mason's principles, which I've read all her volumes a couple times now. I'm actually on my 3rd read through of her volumes. And I felt like this curriculum written by Julie Ross was written in such a way that it was so easy to just step right into my day with my sons and really give them a rich and living feast. And so the way that A Gentle Feast is set up, and I'm just going to make this really quick because I have other videos on A Gentle Feast, and but the way it's set up is it's pretty much open and go. Like, you could be a brand new homeschool mom that wants to try a Charlotte Mason education, and you could purchase this curriculum and, the next day pretty much start with it, like as soon as you have the books. She provides a book list, and it's based on history cycles, which is how Miss Mason suggested we educate our kids. So you would purchase one of the 4 history cycles, and then you would get all the plans that you need for your children grades 1 through 12, or forms 1 through 4, or ages 6 through roughly 18. She also has a morning time program, which is technically included in this, but this one, if you purchase the morning time separately, you get a lot more. So she has the bare bones morning time provided here in her general curriculum, but then if you really want to go in depth and have the hymn music and the backstory on the composers and the backstory on the artists and all of your stuff in here beautifully done and prepared for you, and even like a schedule set up and your children's recitation in there, you want to actually purchase the morning time separately. So these are the printed manuals. These are what I used. And part of what I loved about A Gentle Feast is that Julie has taken the grunt work out of coordinating your time. So A Gentle Feast, you can step into it at any point in history. You can be coming out of ancient history in another curriculum and decide you want to start in cycle 2 or cycle 3, which cover another point in history, like Civil War era or Revolutionary War era. So you can come in and out of her cycles wherever you'd like to. You can pretty much purchase it one time. You purchase the membership and you have it for a lifetime. So for one price, you get all of your curriculum for grades 1 through 12, all in one place. It is online. It is all provided online, and then you can pay extra to get printed manuals if you want them. She calls this a teacher planner. No, sorry, this one's a teacher planner. So this is a cycle we just finished. I am going to do a separate video on this cycle. I'm just going to say I still love A Gentle Feast. I know. So that probably makes you think, why on earth would you change, Sarah Ruth? If you still love the curriculum you're using, why would you change? Well, there's a couple reasons. Firstly, I noticed this year I was doing a lot more substitutions. We would go in and I would be like, I have this book, but I also have this other book that I like better, and I think I want to trade that in. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing when we know our kids, we know what we want them to learn, and we feel confident and comfortable making switches in our curriculum. That's how it always should be. I hope that you give yourself that freedom. I would just pencil in my changes in this planner and we'd roll with it. I also noticed that I really wanted to do handcrafts, but I didn't feel like I had, we've been doing this now for 5 years, and I felt like I was running out of the breadth of what I was able to provide my children. But I also felt like maybe A Gentle Feast didn't have all the handcraft instruction and tutorials that I would have liked to have had access to. So that was another thing that was kind of in our lessons, because I have read all of Miss Mason's volumes and I feel like I understand the premise of how she instructed students and a lot of what she suggested we do, and I really agree with her. I was often having to come up with my own map work and ways that I was instructing my children to look at the map on the wall and while we're doing a history reading or whatnot, and kind of pulling those pieces together. So while it is very open and go, as somebody who has a little more understanding of Miss Mason's methodology, I was adding a lot in to go deeper with my children and to give them more connections and provide them more meat to chew on. And so a friend of mine, actually her is Shanda, This Devoted Life or Devoted Motherhood. She is very active online too. Many of you may know who she is. She and I always talk curriculum and just what's going on. And we had both been using A Gentle Feast, and I was sharing with her how I was feeling about some things. And she was like, well, I'm looking at this other curriculum. And I was like, oh yeah, I know about the Alveary. I had looked at the Alveary in the past, but it felt very overwhelming to me. It was a bunch of spreadsheets. And she's like, no, that's not what the Alveary is at all. And I was like, for real? It's not like that? And she's like, no, not anymore. She's like, why don't you take a look at it? And so I downloaded their sample that you can get. And I was like, So we FaceTimed together and talked some more. And I was like, well, the Alveary is a little bit different, you guys. The Alveary, all the people who purchase the membership for that year, who buy the curriculum, are doing the same cycle. You can't jump in and out of cycles with them. They update everything every year and they move forward every year, progressing in history. However, it's not like A Gentle Feast where if I just finished ancient history with A Gentle Feast, then now I can move into the next time period. Actually, the Alveary is doing ancient history this year, and that really stopped me in my tracks. And I was like, well, there's no way I can do the Alveary. My kids will be bored. They're not going to enjoy studying the same time period again. I felt like we had really covered ancient history well because, like I said, A Gentle Feast is a wonderful curriculum and it does a good job. But as we progressed through our third term with A Gentle Feast, I just found that there was some drudgery in my days. I just wasn't as committed as I have been in the past. I wasn't following through as well. I wasn't as inspired as I have been in the past. And knowing my own personality, I was like, okay, Lord, is this end of year humdrums or is there something more going on? And I just prayed. And honestly, I just couldn't shake the Alveary. I know a lot of amazing mothers that I really respect who use it. some local moms, and then I also know Min Huang. I'm probably saying her name incorrectly. She'll have to correct me. I know Amber from Heritage Mom Blog, and just many other women that I have known along the years who use the Alveary, and I kept praying, and I just couldn't shake this feeling that I needed to investigate it more. So I had more conversations with Shanda, I had more conversations with God. I threw out some feelers with my kids and said, okay, guys, what if mommy has us study the same time period next year? And of course, initially that didn't sound very enticing to them. But then when I plugged it with more enthusiasm and I shared with them like some of the exciting parts that I was seeing, they sounded like they were on board. And to be honest, guys, I think that is like a lot of what is provoking me to make this shift, is that I had lost a lot of my like spark and creativity and ingenuity with our curriculum, and instead was kind of like an autopilot because I know a gentle feast so well. And so it's like, here's your books, here's what we're doing. And I don't want it to be like that. I want to spread a living education, a feast for my children that is a living education that excites me, excites them. I know not every lesson is going to be exciting and wonderful, but I want to get up in the morning and be excited about what I'm going to introduce my children to. All right, so without further ado, I've talked a lot about a gentle feast. I think I've cleared the air. Julie has done a magnificent job with a gentle feast, and it's entirely possible that one day we would go back to it. There's nothing about a gentle feast that I feel like makes it an inferior curriculum. I feel like they're just different. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Alveary and some of the things that drew me in over other choices. If you haven't watched my video about the 5 Charlotte Mason curriculums that are like very popular, and I talk about the differences and the pros and cons, I highly suggest it. Because here I'm just talking about the Alveary and a gentle feast, but you can get a better picture of other Charlotte Mason curriculums that way. All right, so first up is Bible. In the Alveary, they use these 2 books for the ages that my children are. They do have suggestions for my 2nd grader that are different from this, but I am going to teach them as a group during this time. So I liked that for the Bible time, they brought in these books. So you are still doing what Miss Mason suggests. You're still reading directly from the Word of God. But then in their lesson plans, they also add in these supplements that just really seem rich and living, and like they're going to add depth of understanding to what we're reading in the Bible. And so that is a difference between the more straightforward and open and go setup of a gentle feast and the way that the Alveary has it set up. A gentle feast gives you the verses to read, but the Alveary gives you the verses and then these additional books and even some like plans, some questions or some map work. The other thing is with the gentle feast, I was already adding in my own like missionaries, or we were using the old book Jesus Freaks. I say old because it's from my teen years. And then I'm looking at them on the shelf, and then we use Trial and Triumph. So I was adding those in like church history, but the Alveary already has that set up. So these were some of the choices this year. I couldn't just pick one. I said to pick one. That's not very nice. So I chose 3. Who knows what we're going to do? I don't know if we're going to do one a term. I can't answer that question right now. I just know I have 3. And then I was going to show you, this is one of the science books for grade 4 lesson plans. I'm going to be combining my Form 2 students. Instead of having separate science, they're going to do science together. I'm going to let them look at all the different stuff. But I know for a fact that my 4th grader is going to love this. It is using the microscope. This is just for term 1. I haven't decided. I think I'm going to show my kids the choices from 4th, 5th, and 6th grade science and let them pick for terms 2 and 3. But my middle son is very science-minded. He's very curious. He's been begging to do kitchen chemistry, which was one of the books that we used in a gentle feast. I I've let him sit in on his brother's science at times, because the way a Gentle Feast does science is like you do natural history, but not until the students are a little bit older do you really plug into more of the intense science and chemistry and biology, which is perfectly fine. And I think it works just fine. But I do find that the Alveary introduces more lab type sciences and specific sciences earlier in addition to the natural history. So I was super stoked about that. So this book's going to be great. And I know, I'm already excited. See how I'm excited and I'm inspired? This is what was lacking. And then the other thing that I wanted to point, well, there's two more things. Before I point out the geography part, I want to point out Spanish. So A Gentle Feast does a very good job with early Spanish. And then as you move on, they suggest using TalkBox Mom, which is a fabulous resource. I have friends who have learned German with it. People love it. But I'm excited about the Alveary science. They have an entire Spanish. They have an entire Spanish program, and it's very much based on conversational Spanish. And they have songs, they have playlists, they have a variety of books. They even include picture study in their Spanish curriculum. Yes. Awesome, right? Okay, which is something that Charlotte Mason suggested. So they really are pulling together these things for you. Okay, last thing that I want to show you with books and talk about for a minute about the Alveary. Remember when I said that with A Gentle Feast, because I had read Miss Mason's volumes and I understood the philosophy and what I wanted to implement with my children, we would be reading, let's say, about Benjamin Franklin and things happening in Pennsylvania, and then how he went to Paris. Well, when those things came up, I would point to the map and I would be like, hey boys, where is Pennsylvania? What continent is it on? Do you know? And either they would or they wouldn't. And if they didn't, I would be like, okay, find the equator. You're going to go north of the equator. Which country is north of the equator, in the western part of the map, or whatever. I would direct them through map work in order to locate Pennsylvania. Then I would talk about, Mr. Franklin went to Paris. Which ocean would you need to cross to get there? And we would talk about all this stuff and do this map work to help them connect all these ideas and see what is going on visually. Sometimes I would grab the globe. Sometimes I would use the map on the wall. But this is how this worked in our homeschool. And this is a Charlotte Mason approach. This is what's supposed to be happening. A Gentle Feast doesn't include that, and it's fine that they don't. I think it could be overwhelming for new homeschool families to have all of that heaped upon you, and especially people who want to check off boxes. It might be a little much. But one of the things that I feel like is really beautiful and is going to take some stuff off my plate with the Alveary is their lesson plans do that for you. And they include atlases, and you'll be doing a lesson in science or in Bible or in ancient history or whatever subject you're doing, and it will say, get out your great rivers of the world and go to page and look at such and such. And then it will tell you where to find it on the map, and it will guide you and your children in those geography connections to help you with map work and tying all these pieces together. So those are some of the very specific parts of the Alveary that really stood out to me, that made me think, hey, this might be a change that will inspire this mama to come to the table of learning with her kids on a regular basis with more inspiration and excitement. So this is it's a curriculum switch, but I feel like it's just a homeschool refresh for us. A couple other notes about the Alveary things that I was a little bit unsure of at first. The Alveary doesn't offer anything like A Gentle Feast as far as the way that Julie has her parent planner set up. So remember when I said she has the weekly plans for all of your students on a 2-page spread? This is everything you're going to do for week 2 in cycle 1 for all of your children. And you can see we've checked it off because we did this year. But you can write in, add in things, anything that you switched. I added a book in here. So anyway, the Alveary doesn't have anything like this. And part of the reason why they don't is because they provide lesson plans that are actually really in depth. Like they provide specific narration questions that you can ask your children, open-ended questions that just get your kids thinking. They provide the map work. And so like it'd be very difficult to put all of that on this. In a Gentle Feast, you have your online membership and there are links and things to go to that and use. But this open and go teacher planner was my daily bread. Like this was where I sat. I didn't have to open up my computer all the time. I would put a few links like in notes on my phone if I saw them on Sunday and thought we needed them. But otherwise, I was able to use this and work from it. That's not the way the Alveary works. They do have a way for you to purchase the printed lesson plans from them. It's like a 3-ring binder or a quill bound, and it's separated by subject. So that's a little bit different. Let's see. And then it would be by grade level. So like, whereas Julie has combined grade levels by form. So like in certain ways, the Alveary does that, but for the most part, it's grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. It's all separated. Julie has form 1, which is grades 1 through 3, form 2, which is grades 4 through 6, form 3. That's not really how the Alveary's designed. There are very specific separate things for each grade level. There are places you can combine, and I'm absolutely doing that. Once I get a handle on exactly how that's going to work, I will try and share here. Let me know if you're interested in that. Is that a video you'd like to see? Would it be helpful for you to see how I combine students? I honestly, when I looked at all the plans for the Alveary for my 2nd, 4th, and 6th grader, I thought there's no way I can do all of this. This is like a 10-course meal. I don't have enough time in the day. I just need a little feast. So I definitely am combining kids. They have a program called Syllabird. It is an add-on that you can purchase for like an extra $100. I did do it because I felt like in order to get everything I need out of the Alveary, it would be easiest to use that in just discussing with other people who like it and use it. So it is set up where I can create students. So I actually created like a morning time similar to what I'm used to with a Gentle Feast. So these are going to be our beauty loop subjects that all of my children will do together. I also put our handcrafts in there, current events, things like that. And then I have my Form 2 students, combined subjects, and then each individual child. Our kids can log into this. I can log into this. But what it is it's a program that creates a schedule for you. So you log into it, and then the Alveary has put all of their lesson plans into Syllabird. And so all I have to do is click grade 2 reading. And if I click that, it will populate it based on whatever start date I choose for any student that I want to add it to. So any course that I'm going to use with the Alveary, the entire lesson plans, not just like, it's not going to just say reading on the days that my son and I are going to be doing reading lessons, but it also populates the lesson plans, and I can download those and print them out as I want. I can even set like date ranges. So if I only want to download one child's program for a month, I can do that, and I can have the printed paper there set up. And it's actually set up by like day. Like I can see everything we're going to do on Monday, everything we're going to do on Tuesday. So anyway, it's not just like a Gentle Feast layout, which I'm really comfortable in. It's stretching me a little bit. It was one of the big downsides for me of the Alveary was that I wasn't going to have this open and go program that I'm used to. But I also think it's good. It's good for me to be stretched. I tell my kids all the time that hard does not equal bad, right? We all know that that's so. And so I'm pushing myself a little bit to expand my horizons. And as a paper and pencil person, I guess you can tell I'm still uncomfortable But we're going to go with it. I'm finding a way to work with it, and I'm going to print the things. I've already printed all the book lists that from the Alveary, and as my books are coming in, I'm checking them off. That's what I've always done, and I can't get away from it. I can't do it online. So anyway, that's it, folks. That's what's happening. I felt like I kind of owed it to you since I have shared about our journey with a gentle feast and how much we love it, and we still love it. I still think it's a great option for many homeschool families. I would still recommend it. If you have specific questions about which program might be best for your family, feel free to reach out. I will try to help you. I don't really ever talk about this, but I do have a homeschool consultation call that you can purchase from me. And in it, I will spend an hour with you delving into any questions. I actually send out like a pre-questionnaire ahead of time and get a lot of information from you. And then when we do work together for an hour over a Zoom call where I try to help you with whatever you want help with for your homeschooling. So if you want access to that, feel free. I will put the link to that in the description box today. I'll also put a link to purchase the Alveary, a link to purchase a gentle feast if you already know which one sounds like a great fit for you. But that's it, folks. That's all I've got. We are switching curriculums. We're moving on to the Alveary. And I hope that you are getting ready for another great year as you plan over the summer.